Well, hi again. Let's continue with the Ricardian model and basically uh, let's um well state the basic idea, which basically tells that all countries should basically concentrate on production of products at which they are most advantageous, relatively more productive than other countries. And basically, if they do that and trade, get other goods from the rest of the world, in that case, whole world would be all countries basically will be better off in this case. The main critique of this model states that basically, um, well, we can connect this also to world system theory. Uh, it takes time to get specialized or be productive in certain sectors. For example, if you want to build an industry, if your production scale is low, then you will probably be not that much productive. You need to grow the size of your factory, production level of your factory, or basically in some cases the whole industry, so that that industry in your country can be more productive. So if you are starting with an underdeveloped country or developing country, uh, which doesn't have an industry, at first when the industry is developing in those countries, basically they won't be those industries. I mean, for example, production of cars, production of electricity, uh, production, the let's say, petrochemical industry, they won't be as productive as the countries where these industries are already existing. So, if they concentrate on what they are relatively more advantageous, those advantages, the countries that are advantages in production of these goods, plus maybe even production of, let's say, research, science and technology, basically, countries that produce technology itself, uh, the countries that are advantages in production of those things are the countries that are developed. So developing countries will be left with production, with products on which there might be advantages because of their geographic location. So basically, mining and the agricultural products. And because they are not able to produce those critical products, the products that needs industry, while the developed countries can also produce agricultural products in and mines in themselves. Basically, this specializing on the products where they are more advantageous make underdeveloped countries specialize in underdevelopment. This role that gives them this advantage in the economic system. Um, that's one critique of the Ricardian model. Another critique is, of course, I mean, the countries need certain level of self-sufficiency because when there is always a possibility that global connections might be, especially at the times of large crisis, for example, this corona crisis, the connections between the world countries might be broken, and in that case, for example, in a medical emergency, the country that is, for example, exporting healthcare services might not be able to do so because there is urgent need for healthcare services in that country. I mean, or healthcare equipment is needed in that country. So in that case, I mean, being able to produce your own healthcare equipment might be an important thing. So countries might need a certain level of self-sufficiency. And then the question might also be asked, I mean, how this extra benefit of trade might be distributed in the country. For example, in some cases, the products that the trade might result in increasing prices of some vital products like bread or potato. A large number of people in a country need. However, of course, in return, the products that small number of people but high buying power might might be subject of decreasing prices. But in economics, basically, the markets react to the people's buying power, not their numbers. So, and as the people with higher buying power have more effect in basically determining what will be exported and imported, basically their motives might end up the low-income people face increasing prices of vital products, basically, especially food items, basically. So that's the third potential critique to the Ricardian model. You might read on it further again. I can provide you text on it, but even though those critiques are there, of course, as I said, it's the most famous model. Being most famous model also means that it also has some critiques. It's also a model that is at the spotlight. Let's go down. So this is actually kind of the model where you can see the well, basically the idea in this model, or let's say view, big push idea, comes from the Ricardian critique that, well, maybe if every country specialized on what they do best, underdeveloped countries might be specialized on underdevelopment, basically. So the main idea is, well, of course, this graph has a meaning, but you can read the article if you want to get that meaning. But the main idea can be summarized in this way: profit levels in different sectors depend on develop each other. So if you don't have a developed electricity sector, then you cannot have a developed, let's say, well, metal production sector. If you don't produce metals cheaply, then you cannot have a developed automobile sector. If you don't have jobs, you cannot have universities that are actually creating, that are producing or creating the skilled labor force. So basically, all sectors should be developed together. I mean, if I'm a businessman, if I develop just a electricity production in an underdeveloped country, if there are no reliable transportation, no reliable skilled labor force, basically, my profits will be very little. So all businessmen in all different sectors should be coordinate their investment levels, but that might be difficult because that level of organization between the businessman capitalists in different sectors might be not at least so easy. I mean, and capitalists might not bother to do that, rather find more profitable investments. They might not bother to build these connections. So, according to the big push idea, the state, either directly by investing or rather incentivizing the businessman, maybe closing the borders so that they have a larger internal market, up to a certain point, restrict the basic rules of the restrict the competition in the economic system, and or support the potential investors financially, so that even though profit rates might be, the cost might be high, the prices of the products they produce might be low because they might be subsidized by the government or central authority. As a result, with this government support and maybe in addition to that regulation, these sectors should be created together, and once they are created, then you might remove those supports. The country already pushed a certain point of development, So you need to only provide this support up to a certain point. Once that point or that threshold is overcome, then you can remove those protections or remove those regulations, and your companies should be able to compete with other companies from different countries. So the critique of this big push is actually how effective can this big push? I mean, once the companies become too much dependent on this state support, basically, they might not adapt to the actual competition because they know the internal market is there, so they produce rather low quality products, knowing that the companies internally don't have any alternative, and they might also lobby the state so that the support will continue. So basically, it might once you start to support these companies in different sectors, basically you might not be able to remove that support, and you might not be able to make the companies ready to competition at global level. And now, why is a sector a primitive sector is another question. I mean, the mining sector and agricultural sectors might also be important sectors which might provide large incomes to the countries according to this view, and concentrating in increasing productivity in these sectors might also be a way for development according to this idea, which is also contradicting with the world system view, by the way. So basically, if you focus on increasing your agricultural productivity or mining productivity in the mining sector, might be a much better way than forcing sectors which are not productive to increase the income level of your country, according to this view. Well, of course, the other question is maybe you can also create development of different sectors by capital mobility, and what are the rules of this capital mobility, and where does the international capital invest, what is the effect of the international capital mobility, and how this capital mobility change all this framework we have talked before. That question is something I'm leaving for now. Partially, we will look to the potential answers in the coming chapters, but for now it is better to make you think about it. Now we can come to financial sector. In case of financial sector, actually, we have a case called financial trilemma, and it is based on a national financial model, which is called there are different views that are different models that are describing why an unregulated financial system, how an unregulated financial system might create problems. But the one that, in my opinion, is most explicit is the Minsky analysis. So I will talk on the Minsky analysis of the Minsky, and that analysis is actually part of this financial trilemma. So there are three things, but you cannot, as a country, it's impossible to accomplish these three things together. So you should choose two of these three. One is financial integrations, integrating your country to the rest of the world. The other one is financial stability, preventing financial crisis and financial downturns. The third thing is national financial policies. I mean, keeping your, for example, interest rate according to the needs of the economic system, being able to decrease your interest rate at the time of crisis, so that not financial crisis, but when the economic system is experiencing a downturn, so that companies will get cheap money to borrow, and basically when they have cheap money to borrow, they can borrow it and make investments, and so that the downturn in the economic system might end. So you cannot have all three of this: financial stability, national financial policies, and the financial integration.